hardcore, lightweight, stripped out, race bred. These are a couple of terms that car makers like to throw at you when they launch a higher performance version of an existing model. And more often than not, it's just a little bit of marketing. But allow me to introduce you to a car in where it is absolutely not. This is the Lamborghini Huracan STO, and the clue is all in the name. STO stands for Super Trofeo Omologato, and though this car technically replaces the Huracan Performante, not quite. You see, because the Huracan Performante was an upgrade from the standard Huracan, this is more like a race car that's just been made road legal, but only just. And it's easy to see how they've achieved that just in the bodywork. In fact, 75% of the body panels are carbon fiber. 75%. In fact, only the roof and the doors are not. And then there is the insane aero trickery, and it starts right here at the front. This is the Cofango, and while it sounds like a nice tropical fruity drink, what it actually is a combination of two Italian words that mean bonnet and fenders. What that points to is one single piece for this whole front end, bonnet, fenders, bumpers and all, much like in the old Lamborghini Miura. What that means is that there are no moving parts, it's therefore lighter and more rigid, and it opens up like one big clamshell. And oh, of course, when air goes into that front splitter, it comes out through these ducts for greater downforce. And that means no luggage space in the front, I'm afraid. As we move over to the side, you'll see these louvers in the front wheel arches that vent air out and reduce turbulence. There are also these magnesium wheels that further reduce weight, and inside there is CCMR, which is an evolution of carbon ceramic brakes that are not only stronger and more durable, but also offer greater stopping power as well. And it doesn't stop there. As we go further back down the car, you will notice that these little streaks in the bodywork, they don't appear to have been added on, but rather bits have been scooped out of the bodywork. There are also much wider tracks both at the back and at the front. And then of course, there's the huge cooling duct on the roof that feeds cool air straight into the engine bay. And does your car have a shark fin antenna on it? Well, that's cute because that is a proper shark fin. What it does is it keeps the car stable in corners and prevents roll and also yaw. And finally, onto the main event, this massive rear wing, and like a true race car, it's only manually adjustable in 3 stages depending on the circuit you're on. It all ends up in this wide rear diffuser section that's so much wider than a standard Huracan Evo, and it's got vents coming out of it and this massive tray underneath for better aero. The end result is that it generates as much as 420 kilograms of downforce at 280 kilometers per hour, and it's 37% more aero efficient than even the Huracan Performante. Now, what Lambo also tells us is that they've worked even harder behind the scenes, so it's not just the numbers. The steering is a fixed ratio, it's more direct, and even the throttle responses are far more instant, so it really gives you that race car feel. There are stiffer racing anti-roll bars too, but before you start thinking it's getting a little bit too hardcore, don't worry, there is still adaptive suspension, and you can option a nose lift function for our big speed breakers. Now, what hasn't changed is the engine. It's still a naturally aspirated 5.2 litre V10, and it makes 640 horsepower just like in the Performante. Now, torque is down to 565 Newton meters from 600. And there's a very good reason for that. Unlike the Performante and the Evo, this car is rear-wheel drive only. So yes, it is a race car for the road with rear-wheel drive, so you better have had your espresso in the morning. But again, if you think things were getting a little too hardcore, don't worry, because they have put in a lot of electronic aids to help you out. There is of course LDVI, the car's electronic brain that makes all the systems and electronics work together, and on top of that there is rear wheel steering, which of course aids in shortening the wheelbase virtually when you're cornering hard. The Anima driving modes return too, but they're entirely different for this far more focused vehicle. There is STO, which is the comfortable street mode. There is Trofeo, which is the one for the track, and then there is Pioggia, which is the wet mode. Now, All that allows you to hit 0 to 100 kph in just 3 seconds and go on to a top speed of 310 kilometers an hour. But Lamborghini says this car is not about those numbers. It's all about the way it handles, the way it feels, and oh yes, the way it sounds. Now, mercifully, they haven't gone full race car with the interior of the STO. Sure, you get the raciest possible seats that Lamborghini offers, and you can even option racing harnesses and a roll cage if you wanted to. But other than that, you've got all the creature comforts you want. You've even got the touchscreen and the digital dials in front of you. Yes, it's all trimmed in Alcantara, and that does feel very sporty. They've even stripped down the door panels to their bare minimums and just this door catch over here. It's all very good. So what they've done essentially is give you the comfort and yet the feeling of being in a race car. And that's exactly what you want in a car like this. So is it more expensive than a standard Huracan Evo? Of course it is. The prices start at 4.99 crore rupees ex showroom, and that's before you've added on any options. But don't go thinking that just because this is the top dog Huracan, you should just throw your money and snap it up right away. You see, this car doesn't demand just your money, it demands your respect and your commitment. It promises to be harder, louder, and far less forgiving than the Huracan Performante. And in fact, around the Daytona Speedway, it was only 2.4 seconds slower than the race car it's based on. This is by far the most aggressive version of the Huracan there's ever been. And if you're in the market for one of these, a word of advice: approach with caution. And as always, if you like this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe to the Autocar India channel, and click the bell icon to stay notified every time we make a new upload. And tell us down in the comments what you think of the Huracan STO.